Now, call me biased, but this is one of the best underdog stories we've heard in a long time. The Canadian women's rugby team has been climbing their way up the rankings and found themselves in second last year, but this is a bit insane because when you compare them to the other top teams, their lack of funding is astonishing. Take England, for example. They're number one in the world, have 32 players on full-time pro contracts making up to $62,000 a year, and their team budget is $27 million. New Zealand is also working on a similar budget with pro and semi-pro contracts ranging from 75 to 80K a year. But y'all, Canada has no professional contracts. The maximum a player can make in a year is about 12,000 Canadian dollars, and their operating budget is 2.6 million. Now, this is actually an interesting case as the men's and women's teams have equal pay, so it's not like one is getting more than the other, but rather the problem lies in the fact that rugby just isn't as big as a typical Canadian sport like hockey, so the money simply isn't there. So with all that in mind, Rugby Canada knew this team was special as they got to number 2 with a fraction of the funding, but the World Cup was coming up and they really wanted to prove themselves. The federation went to head coach Kevin Rouet and asked what extra support was needed, but the conclusion was $1 million extra. As a result of this, Rugby Canada turned to the people of the country and set up a crowdfund called Mission Win the Rugby World Cup. The money would go directly to things like training, coaching, travel, and recovery, and it was an immediate success with an anonymous donor matching up to $50,000 of the donations, as well as iconic Canadian band Tragically Hip making shirts with proceeds going to the team. Fast forward to the eve of the World Cup, they had hit 95% of their goal and still had one of the smallest budgets in the tournament, but everything is quite literally paid off as they outscored opponents 147-26 in their 3 group stage wins. They beat Australia 46-5 in the quarterfinals, and they followed that up with a historic semi-final win over defending champions New Zealand. Canada's now closer than they've ever been to their mission of winning the World Cup and play England in the final on Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Regardless of what happens, making it this far after having to crowdfund is genuinely amazing and everyone is so proud of them. I have no doubt their funding will go up after this, and if you want to help, their crowdfund is still open, but this has to be one of the best sports stories in Canada right now. No one expected them to be here and they genuinely have a great shot at walking home with the title.